Self. So what's your take on what the Minister of Information said? All right, let's go over it again.
In the northeast, but once upon a time, some of the territories around the northeast were taken over by Boko Haram. That is no longer the case. They were holding about 14 local governments at a point. That is no longer the case. Traveling around the country was a problem at some point. That is not the case. Nigeria is working hard. The government of Nigeria is working hard to ensure protection of lives and properties, and also ensure that people go about their businesses the world over. Some of the claims made by some officials in the United States is based on faulty data. Some of them, on some assumptions that the victims of this religious violence are largely Christian. Yes, there are Christians that are in attack, but this,
All right, that is just a quick excerpt, not the entire interview per se, but I just wanted to hear it from his own perspective. He says there are other things he said in the interview which we might not be privy to. He said Nigeria is a tolerant country, and when it comes to religion, he mentioned Christianity and all, and he said the international audience to focus on should be the people in entirety. Okay, now he's calling the international audience to focus on verified information. He said some of the information that are put out there are not verified, and some of them are amplified, and some of the information put out there are also distorted. Okay, true to what he said, there have been some slight improvements, but regardless to say, we still know that current happenings of insecurity are still eating up the very nitty-gritties of our country in entirety. The death toll has risen up to 91,000, yes. Just from 2021 to just recently, let's just call it 2024, let's not even move into 2025, the death toll is close to 91,000 plus. And from my perspective, if nothing critical is done, I think we would still be where we are. Now, we'll also throw the phone lines open before we get to other two issues bedeviling this country. We'll throw the phone lines open because when something that is as critical as security is being painted as very normal, insecurity is painted as very normal and something that should not be treated with attention or seriousness, I think there's an issue in the very nitty-gritty of our country. 91, yes, I've gotten to the data. I like working with data. 91,740 deaths that are recorded, not those that are not even recorded, just due to insecurity across our country, Nigeria. And the Southeast is not left aside. We have issues of kidnapping. There's attack on insecurity, on even security infrastructure, beg your pardon, and also disruption of daily life activity. Just recently, we went on something they call, was it a sit at home? So in a country that has total security, I know no country per se has total security, but to an extent, I believe Nigeria is not living up to the standard. But I don't know what our callers think. I think we throw the phone lines open because places like Benue State, you have recurrent farmer headers disputes, agricultural impact. Now, when Benue State, when growing up, I know they call Benue State the food basket of the nation. When the food basket is affected, it affects even agriculture, it affects even the crop, the livestock, and every other thing that people depend upon for their daily sustenance. And like we said before, no region of the country is left out. The northeast, the northwest, the north central, the southeast, the south, and even the southwest. No region is left out. So what's your take on Nigeria being a country that is relatively secure? According to the Minister of Information perspective, are we relatively secure, or do you think Nigeria is completely not relatively, according to what he said, secure? 0806-588-5418, 0806-588-5418, or 0814-623-9028, 0814-623-9028. Let's get to hear your perspective on the state of security of this country. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you. Your name, please, and where you call from. Vision Africa Radio. Big issues.
I'm in your SO from Bali State.
Well, great to have you, Olga.
Thank you very much. Well, with what is happening, nobody should that whatever is said about security in this country. This is the longest time ago from the not the east. People went to a group of people called Boko Haram went, and then they knocked girls in the school there. Some of them are still there.
Okay.
Up to now, it is still happening. There's Kwara. Anyway.
So do you believe there have been improvement, or it's still as it used to be?
Yeah, so there's no doubt about it. It is what it means. And even if it is after that has no.
Because the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said there's relatively improved. It has relatively improved. There's relative improvement.
There is.
Okay.
There is security risk. We know it. Everyone knows.
Okay.
And when people don't find it easy to travel, because there is fear that if you travel without enough security, you may be kidnapped. Why should they come up and say that it's a lie? People are not lying. It's reality. Well, the two greatest things we are suffering in this country is insecurity and hunger, scarcity of food. So if there's anything that should be done about it, let the government set up a standard that should be followed, and then they monitor it. How many of them have them in prison, or have they been executed? Every time we talk about this, the person says there is people who are sponsoring the Boko Haram, and then they won't be known. So if you know them, they should be punished according to the law.
It should be called out.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And then if you don't have to fight the hunger too in this country, people are dying. They are not saying that the rice and everything is cheap. Where? There is the reduction.
Thank you so much.
We are not happy about it.
Thank you so much. Beautiful morning to you. This is Big Issues Vision Africa Radio. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Well, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, I am brother Chukuma Ibn Melody, calling from a human banner in the States.
Alright, go on.
We are used to issue government, we know what they are all about. Even if you throw bomb now, they'll tell you that no bomb was thrown. Even everybody died now, they tell you that it's just few people that died. So we know them, we don't listen to them. Nothing we should be, expecting from a minister. We call him information minister. So, somehow tell us good about the government, whether it's good or bad, they tell us that it's good. So, I don't know where the information is coming from. whether it's from where the dead people are or is it in this Nigeria that we're living. You tell people, you're talking, you talk as if the people are talking about they don't have mouth to talk or they don't have ears to hear. It's quite unfortunate for them. When they want to lie, you lie when you know that nobody will.
So what do you think is the way forward for our country? What's the way
The way
forward?
forward is if God will help us to have a good INEC that will conduct a good election in 2027 so that this bad government will leave us alone. Then we get good people who.
Alright, thank you. I think you just went off. If you do not, he has taken our attention to somewhere else. If you know you do not have your PVC, please do well, you get one before the time. That's your power to change Nigeria. Hello?
Yeah, good morning, man.
Good morning to you, sir.
I greet you especially this morning.
Thank you so much.
Yes, my name is William. I'm just calling from an hour.
Alright. Go on, sir.
This morning, I want to condemn the attitude of our information minister. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you, going.
Yes, I want to condemn his attitude because some time ago we had Lai Mohammed as information minister, and everything that he was telling us here was all about life. When things happen to this country, there is just a turn it upside down.
So from your perspective, I presume you are saying it has not improved.
Yes. So now, look at the killings that is going on in this country. Somebody will come out to tell us that it is false propaganda or false information. See, I believe it. Those people who are defending all this evil in this country are the people are sponsoring it. That is what I want to tell you this morning.
That's your perspective.
Yes,
Okay.
you cannot tell me that things are going wrong. You mentioned this benefit. Since from the regime of the former president, which is Buhari, to this regime now, let us think that even there is no thing did not happen here. Somebody will come out to tell us that you have done all those things that false information. I don't believe it. I'm just telling the truth. They are not telling me I'm telling the truth. Let them open up, tell us who are those sponsors, because they know them. You cannot tell me that let me take my community now. I invited a warlord or somebody who is a terrorist to my community, and we dine with them, negotiate with them. Government must find out who are these. Like the government was asking.
Well, thank you.
Where did you bring all this criminals?
Your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And true to what was said, a country who is battling with insecurity would have little or no foreign investments, talk little of international partnership. So this issue of security borders even on our economy. Yes, I think we're where we are because we have not handled our insecurity challenges. And then, like we said before, the Parliament has also approved a large foreign borrowing plan. Nigeria can borrow more. That's what it means. Let me look it down. Nigeria's legislature has approved a plan to raise $2.85 billion in foreign borrowing. So I think we're borrowing more than let me give it to the callers. Because at this rate, it's as though when we borrow, we don't really have plans to pay back, and the next legislature will come up with another plan to borrow more. And the borrowing rate has increased. Like you say doubled, it has not doubled, it has tripled. compared to what it used to be. And if you were with no actual plan to pay off debts, I think it's an issue to look at. But that's another story to comment on. In as much as we are also handling the story of the CNN interview with the Minister of Information and handle the Idris. So what you think on both stories? We don't have much time, limited time on our part. Do you think Nigeria's security challenge is a thing of the past, or do you think we are still going through what we used to go through, or even if you think that it has gotten worse, please air review. 08065885418, 08065885418, or 0814-623-9228, 0814-623-9228. What happens when our debt rates, I didn't DE8, I mean DEBT, rises to a point where we can actually settle any debt at all. We keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. Because I for one feel the legislature is not helping. It's supposed to be a check and balance between the executive, judiciary, and legislature. The Minister of Information, like Marcos has said, he is owning the world, not just Nigeria. CNN is not, okay, I think I spilled the beans. He was urging the world to know Nigeria's negative security narrative and that it is being pushed by individuals with political interest, political undertone, and also ulterior motives. So some of the security accounts and what we see, because most times we see them on social media and we also see them on the TV. Yes, we see them on the TV. He said those things were fabricated or were pushed up to look so bad. It's not that bad. It has improved over the years. It's not like it used to be before. According to words, before now we were afraid to travel, but now we can travel peacefully. So what's your take? Has it improved? Is it that it used to be, or has it worsened? Hello? Beautiful morning to you. This is the issues reason after the day.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
God bless you. My name is Leslie Vani from Mugi to Iguana.
Okay, this man is just a bad.
He's telling a bloody lie. There is no religion of Boko Haram in Nigeria. Sometime this year, we had out of 23 local governments in Benue. There is now has only 3 local governments. Those men and the youth men and the other people are occupying the 20 local governments. How is it this place is being captured back? Some days now or some days after, we hear say that the army was about to take over Nigeria. Now again, we have heard that the army, Boko Haram want to bomb Abuja. How is it doing? If the financial minister is telling Nigeria like this, we Nigerians, we know ourselves. Now come to borrowing, as long as what do we call their names there in Abuja, young mothers and this, we can go in, for 30 million as a minimum salary for other amenities. Why can't they find the borrowing? God is watching.
Thank you. God bless you too. London. So thank you so much for being with us. It has almost become a cliche now to say that nowhere in Nigeria is safe. Obviously in the northeastern part of the country you've got rising activity by ISWAP, which is an offshoot of Boko Haram. You've got violence in the middle belt from armed gangs, banditry as well. In the southeast part of the country, obviously there's violence stemming from separatist movements. And then of course everyone knows about the Niger Delta, which has been a massive security issue, or has had massive security issues for quite some time, especially as it pertains to pipeline vandalism. When you think about the strategies that will tackle Nigeria's rising insecurity problem, Nigerians have been sort of forced to try to get used to violence for many, many years now. In terms of how to tackle it, why should Nigerians trust that the method that Tinubu and his governments are using will actually work this time? What are you guys doing differently?
Well, thank you for having me. First, let us recognize that the high duty of any government, the Nigerian government especially, is to protect life and property. And this includes millions and millions of Muslims living side by side, doing their daily activities. And constitutionally, every Nigerian is guaranteed the right to freedom of faith, meaning that whether you're Muslim or Christian, you're free to practice your faith in our country. That's one. Secondly, you have to know that, of course, since 2009, Nigeria has been beginning with the activities of Boko Haram and other criminal elements like that mentioned earlier. But you also have to see the activities that government have done, especially in the last 2 years. Of course, some governments have tried. In the last 2 years, there has been a renewed focus. New attention is being put to ensure that Nigeria becomes safe. And we've seen massive deployment of resources to improve our military hardware. We've also seen investments in other sectors, agriculture, social services, to ensure that Nigerians the non-kinetic approach, contributing to the stability of our country. Nigeria is not that bad, as we said. Yes, we have seen attacks on some Christians, it is true. We have also seen attacks on Muslims as well.
Alright, I'll tell you what later is I handed the full excerpt from the interview, but before now, I think you've heard the short brief we gave you, and the way you pick out from that is Nigeria is not that bad. Alright, due to limited time, I wanted you to listen to the whole thing, and with that we would wrap up the big issues for today. Is our country that bad? It's not that bad. Let's do two minutes or more of the live interview, and then we call it a wrap. If we can pick one or two more calls, we'll do that. before the issues will come to a close. Ensure to get dialogue on Vision Africa Radio 104.1 FM.
Criminals do not just target one religion, they target Christians, they also target Muslims. We have seen that in several parts of, especially the northern part of the country. So yes, indeed, we have security challenges in Nigeria, but we also have to recognize that there is a massive drive by government to ensure that Nigeria is ultimately safe for everyone. But for the records, we want to say that Nigeria is a very tolerant country when it comes to religion. We don't want this dangerous narrative to go on because criminal elements and some of these extremists are driving this narrative and pushing people to believe that Muslims and Christians are fighting each other. This is the case.
Mr. Minister, there is an argument though that while yes, Muslims and Christians have been attacked, it is the more mainstream Christians and Muslims that have been attacked, those that have been opposed to Sharia law. You mentioned U.S. lawmakers, specifically Ted Cruz, has accused the country of persecuting Christians, even genocide. He's introduced a bill that would push a country of particular concern designation, and that would potentially trigger some crippling sanctions. You do have former leaders of your own country and past presidents who have warned of Islamization as well. Your justification here that it's not that bad doesn't seem to be a sharp rebuke to some of these allegations. What exactly are you doing to address these concerns?
Well, we believe, and I will reiterate that we do have security challenges in the country. We are not denying this. We are not asking for denial in that direction. But what we are saying is that we need to let Nigerians to believe and be able to believe that this government is actually working to ensure the security of life and property of everyone. Christians, Muslims, living side by side each other. And when you say that only a particular region is being targeted, that is not true in this country. We know that some of these Boko Haram extremists have targeted also Muslims in the north. Yes, they have targeted also Christians in their churches. So that is why we need the world to know that there is indeed this challenge, and to drive it, to characterize it as a religious issue, it's not healthy for our country. It will drive us towards division. Where these criminal elements and this extremism is actually to let Nigeria and the world to feel that there is actually a fight between Christians and Muslims in our country. This is not the case. Absolutely false. Our constitution, Nigeria is safe. Our constitution guarantees the right of every citizen to practice his religion, whether a Christian or a Muslim.
With that short one, we'll call it a wrap for the big issues today. Like we said before, if you do not have your PVC, I think you are one of the problems we are having. On a lighter note, though, let's come to a serious fact. Please go get your PVCs, okay? 2027, it's not really far down the line. Let's help change the narrative of Nigeria. Stay tuned for more a moment on the broadcast. It's been Mercy Uchenna of the world. This is Vision Africa Radio 104.1 FM. God bless Nigeria.
FM.